This right here is one of the best gold XP farms in Minecraft, giving you hundreds of gold per hour and 30 levels in just 1 minute. It's super easy to build, no portals needed, no redstone, and the best thing is, it's actually a 2-in-1 farm. So you can use it for experience, but you can also just AFK right next to it and let it farm gold for you automatically. Here's how it works. Okay, so first of all, the goal of today's farm is to go into the nether and spawn a lot of zombified piglins, because when they die, they drop gold nuggets, sometimes even gold bars, and that's gonna be the way we farm the gold. So far, nothing new. However, there is one big problem that most other gold farms like this have, and that is, when you build them, you have to decide whether you want to make it a gold XP farm, where you actively take out the zombified piglins with your sword, or if you want to make it an AFK gold farm, where the piglins drop all the way down to their doom right away. You can't have both of it at the same time. However, the special thing about today's farm is that we're going to design it a little bit different so that it can do both of these things at the same time. If you want to gain experience, just walk up to it and take the piglins out by hand. But if you just AFK next to it, then the piglins will automatically start dying by themselves, turning it into an AFK gold farm. I personally think this 2-in-1 design is super duper convenient. So here is how you build it. But alright, before we start building, we first of all need to get into the right position to start. And naturally for that, we need to build a portal and go into the nether. Once you're there, what you're looking for is a nether wastes biome. This is the biome that looks like the quote-unquote old legacy nether, but if you're unsure, you can always just press F3 and then right here it will tell you in which biome you're currently standing. The reason why we want to be in a nether wastes biome is that this, out of all nether biomes, has the by far highest chance to spawn zombified piglins. Once you've found the right biome, what you want to do is build yourself all the way up to the top bedrock layer of the nether, and then we actually want to bug ourselves through the bedrock so that we're standing on top of the nether. Might sound a bit weird, but don't worry, it's actually very simple. All you gotta do is make sure that you're at the very top block of the bedrock. To do that, just press F3 again, and right here it shows you which block you're currently looking at. You're now trying to find a bedrock block that shows a height level of 127 if you look at it. This is the highest bedrock you can find. And once you have it, just build a ladder next to it, jump onto the ladder, and then use an ender pearl to teleport yourself right through the bedrock layer. You should now be standing on top of the bedrock. Now, very important here, before you actually teleport yourself on top of the bedrock, make sure you bring enough obsidian and the flint and steel in order to build a nether portal to go back home, because otherwise you will be trapped on top of here forever. You don't want that. However, even though most videos recommend to build the portal right away, we're not going to do that just yet. But now that we're in position, we can start building, and as always, if you could leave a quick like for the video, that would help me big time with the YouTube algorithm, so thank you so much for your lovely support. For the build, these right here are the materials that you're gonna need. As you see, nothing fancy here, no complicated blocks, just very basic stuff. Just one note from my side here, I didn't give a set amount of magma blocks because you can kind of sort of decide for yourself how big you really want to make those platforms. Just make sure that you bring a decent amount. You're gonna need quite a lot of them. But okay, first of all, we want to build our farm as high above the bedrock as possible. The reason for that is that in Minecraft, there is a 128 block radius around you at any given time, and in this area, there's only a set amount of mobs that the game can spawn. The problem is, if we build the farm too low, then parts of the nether will actually be in that area, and that means all the mobs that would naturally spawn in the nether will take away from this mob limit that the game can spawn in, meaning our farm cannot spawn as many piglins. That is why we want to place our farm as high as possible, so that most of the nether is completely out of radius and doesn't bother us. The first step would be to build ourselves as high as humanly possible with a 1x1 tower. Now, you can make this tower however you like. I would personally recommend using scaffolding because it's just very easy and convenient to build it. But just for the sake of this video, I decided to make a color-coded 1x1 block just so that you can better count the blocks in the video and see how big everything is. This 1x1 tower, you want to build it as high as possible until the game shows you this message right here. That is when you have reached the top building limit of Minecraft, and that is how high we need to be. Once our tower is this high, delete the top block and replace it with a slab. Which type of slab doesn't really matter, just make sure it is a slab because mobs can't spawn on slabs. Once you've done that, delete the next 26 blocks under the slab. That should get you down to Y229, and on this height, you now want to build a 4x8 glass block platform. Very important here, these blocks actually have to be glass because otherwise mobs can spawn on top of here, and that is something we really don't want. Now that the platform is done, the first thing we want to do is build a nether portal on top of it. This portal is going to be our gate to the outside world, so to speak, and we can use it to go back home, bring new resources in, and teleport in and out to our farm as we please. Oh, and by the way, when you build the portal, make sure to cover it on the backside so that you don't accidentally fall down. Then we want to build our chest and collection system to pick up all the loot, and the way we do this is we place down 4 hoppers at the other end of the platform, 2 facing right down and the other 2 facing into the 2 hoppers from before. On the back 2 hoppers, you're now going to put down 2 slabs, and for the front 2 hoppers, you want to cover them with carpets like I do right here, and then place a double chest in the ground right under them. This is where our loot is going to end up being later. But yeah, so far, this would be our base platform that we will end up standing on when we use the farm later on, plus the collection system that will pick up all the loot for us. With this being done, the next thing you want to build is, so to speak, the fall pit, the tower into which the piglins will later fall in. The way we do this is actually pretty simple. Just build a 4x3 tower above the back 2 hoppers with the slabs on them and bring it up all the way to the top. And yes, just to be clear, you don't want this tower to be 2x2 blocks inside. It is very important that inside of the tower, there is only a 2x1 space. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you want to see more helpful Minecraft guides and farm builds in the future, then maybe think about leaving the channel a sub because there is so much more stuff to come here. Welcome to the crew! We now successfully built our quote-unquote fall tower, into which the piglins will fall down later, so I would say now it's time to actually start building the first spawning platform. Remember the one slab that we built at the very top of the building height in the beginning? What you want to do now is, under this slab, you want to leave 2 blocks free so that you can just about stand under it, and at this height, you will now start building the first spawning platform out of magma blocks. Now, just in case you were wondering why specifically magma blocks, this is actually very important because magma blocks are the only material that zombified piglins can spawn on. However, other nether mobs, like for example magma cubes, actually can't. And this is exactly what we need because if we use any other blocks, then we're gonna have a bunch of magma cubes spawning in that we don't need, massively reducing the efficiency of the gold farm. As for this spawning platform itself, how big you make it is actually kind of up to you. However, there is a maximum size, and that will be 21 blocks away from our fall tower. Everything that is bigger than that will actually be negative because you can't attract piglins that far away. But right here comes the main difference between our farm today and most other gold farms. See, for most other gold farms, the fall pit is right in the middle of the platform, meaning the spawn platform goes around it on all 4 sides. However, for today's build, it is important that the piglins can only enter the pit from one side, which means our spawning platforms also only need to be on one side of the pit, just like you see in the background right here. But, and this is very crucial, I'm of course showing this in creative mode, but you will likely build this farm in survival. And if you walk on magma blocks in survival Minecraft, then you're actually going to take heat damage over time. That's not good. So when you build this farm in survival, either drink a potion of fire resistance before so you don't take damage, or alternatively, if you have that, you could wear a pair of boots with the Frostwalker enchantment on them, or thirdly, and this is probably the easiest way, you're not going to take any damage from the magma blocks if you're just crouch walking over them. I don't know why that's the case, but as long as you're crouched, you're absolutely safe. Of course, it kinda sucks having to hold down the crouch button all the time, so just go into the options menu and enable toggle crouch. This is the most convenient way to build this farm. Now, while you're building this magma block platform, very important tip here, this will save your life because otherwise you're likely gonna get killed. As you build it, it can happen that the game starts spawning ghasts, and that's bad because they will start shooting you and probably kill you. To avoid that, what we want to do is build this platform 1 row at a time, and over every 3rd row, you want to build 1 row of bottom slabs. Absolutely make sure that these are bottom slabs, not top slabs, because on top slabs, monsters can spawn, on bottom slabs, they can't. And if you make it like this right here and cover every third row of your platform, then you will be safe from ghasts because the slabs block the spawns. And then, of course, as you build the platform, you will also see the first piglins spawning in while you're still building, but that's perfectly okay. You know, they're passive, they don't hurt you as long as you don't hurt them. Just leave them alone and everything is gonna be fine. But okay, if you did everything correctly, then you should now have a magma block platform with rows of slabs over it. And once this platform is finished, go back to your fall tower and crack the glass on one side to open it up. Up next, what you want to do is remove 3 more glass blocks on the back side and build a couple of temporary blocks exactly like I do right here in the video, because the next thing you need to do is place 1 turtle egg at the very last of the temporary blocks. Now, why the turtle egg? Because zombified piglins get aggroed by turtle eggs, and placing the turtle egg at the opposite side of the pit will lure every piglin that spawns in right into the hole where we want them. In case you don't know where to get turtle eggs, it's actually pretty easy. Go and find 2 turtles, which usually spawn on any beach, then breed them with a bit of seaweed, and after some time they will lay an egg somewhere on the beach. Pick up this egg by using a silk touch tool, otherwise the egg is gonna break, and then you have it and can use it for our farm. But alright, place down a couple of trapdoors exactly the way that I show right here. These trapdoors will make it that the zombified piglins can still see the egg, but they can't reach it so that the egg is protected. Once the egg is placed, delete all the temporary blocks that we just built. And yes, it is very important that you also delete the block right under the egg. The eggs can float, that's no problem. But if you leave the block, then there will be pathfinding issues with piglins later on. I don't know why exactly that is, but just do yourself a favor and delete really all of the temporary blocks here. Don't forget to, of course, also place 2 trapdoors on the side of the platform so that the piglins can actually walk over the edge. And as the last step, also place down a couple of fences on the edge of the platform around the fall tower just to make sure that the piglins don't accidentally push each other off the wrong edge. That would be bad, especially if they land on your platform down there. But alright, this would technically already be a functional farm. The way this works is, the zombified piglins will spawn on the magma blocks, and because they see the turtle egg, they will run towards it and fall right into our pit. The fall now is just high enough so that they barely survive, which means when you stand down on the platform, you can just take them out instantly and get all the loot and experience. In an ideal case, of course, you want to have a sword with a looting 3 enchantment so you get even more loot, plus sweeping edge so you deal more damage to the crowd, and if you like, you can also use a smite enchantment for even more damage. Very important here, use smite, not sharpness, because zombified piglins are considered undead enemies, meaning smite is going to deal almost twice as much damage as sharpness. But okay, so far this looks like pretty much every other gold XP farm. What's the special thing here? See, as long as you stand down here and hit the enemies with a sword, of course it works like any other gold XP farm. But because the pit here is only 2 by 1 block small, what you can also do is just take a couple of steps back and AFK for a while, and because the area in the pit is so small, after a couple of seconds the piglins are gonna start dying automatically, because in Minecraft there's a limit as to how many mobs can stand on 1 block at the same time. This is the main difference because with the quote-unquote standard farm design, the pit has to be bigger and therefore the piglins will never reach the mob limit. But okay, so far we've only built 1 platform and that's not ideal because you could have more spawns. So what you can do if you want to expand the farm even further and make it more efficient is, take exactly the same platform design that we put on the top and just build more of these platforms. The only important thing here is that each platform can only be 2 blocks high, not higher, otherwise the ghats are gonna spawn in again. And for the best efficiency, I would recommend building either 3 or maybe even 4 platforms, but definitely not more. And this right here is how the final thing looks in my world. And now check out my super easy and efficient iron farm right here. See you next time, and until then, craft well.